me, your girl T Bird, and welcome to Queen Conversations. Y'all are in for a real big treat today because I have she's my bad boy's friend. You know that ride or die, that friend that, I believe God sends you, that friend that'll roll with you no matter what, but will also hold you accountable for your stuff. This is that friend for me. She is my sister from another mister. She is my sister, not by DNA, but by heart. And I am so grateful to introduce her to you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about who she is. First of all, this is Felecia Mixon, y'all. She's a wife, mother, and grandmother to Ali and Noah. She's the co-owner of Mixon oils with her husband, Paul. They make body butters mixed with essential oils that aid in healing and wellness, which Paul uses in his massage therapy business. And trust me, you want a massage with Paul Mixon, but that's another topic. Her biggest aspiration is to help women discover their purpose as they find their voice. Felecia says her greatest accomplishments are her 3 beautiful daughters. And she wants to tell every woman who is afraid to walk in purpose, just do it, because you are who God says you are. Hey, Felecia.
Hey.
Welcome to Queen Conversations.
Yes, so good. I am so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored that you decided to do this. It's pretty cool when the people in your life support you and love you. So I appreciate it. Full disclosure, y'all might hear me call her Sissy. You might hear me call her Fee. You are being invited into a conversation between 2 sisters. I can't tell you how it's going to go. There's really no script here. We got a guide to the way it's going to be. But the truth of the matter is you guys are in for a real big treat today, because we are going to discuss preparing for the throne. And I called it that because we're going to be talking about what it's like as your parents are beginning to age, right? What do you do when the queen mother of your life can no longer sit on the throne? And the reason I had to really, Sissy, I wanted to really frame that in a pretty way, because I think that as a lot of us begin to go through these changes where our parents are becoming, we're becoming their caretakers, illness strikes, things happen. We look at it sometimes as such a negative thing, when really it is the circle of life, right? It is eventually our kids will do the same for us. And that was why I thought it was so important to share this topic with other people. I know you're walking through it actively. We've shared some laughs and some tears. But I wanted to give other people the opportunity to see how it can be done and get some insight on some things to do. So before we kind of jump in, I want to share a couple did you knows with our audience. Did you know that according to Alzheimer's.org, the majority of dementia is not inherited by children and grandchildren? In rarer types of dementia, there may be a strong genetic link, but these are only a tiny proportion of overall cases of dementia. And did you know that worldwide, women with dementia outnumber men 2 to 1? That was a surprise to me. I didn't know that. So as we get ready to jump into this topic, I have to ask my signature opening question.
Yes.
I asked, first of all, Queen Felecia, welcome to Queen Conversations. So when did you discover your inner queen?
Well, first of all, when I got that question from you, I had to go to Google because for one, all of the definitions that's out there or that I know was, she's a diva, she's this, she's that, but all of it didn't sound like I wanted to associate with that label. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm driving down the street. I'm like, you know what? Let me pull it up. Google is your friend.
Absolutely.
Right. So I pull it up and I notice the things that's being, the meanings. And I'm like, okay, cool. Not until I saw your previous interview with Keisha that it clicked for me. The reason why she created E-Queens and how God spoke to her about queendom. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like a chessboard, and the queen is the protector, and she's able to move across the board. I'm like, that blew my mind. But I thought that was awesome, and I was like, absolutely, I'm a queen. But I have to say that I've been on a walk searching for who I am, who God says I am. So with that said, it's been a journey, and you don't know how far you've come until the opportunity presents itself that shows you, oh, okay, I've grown. So I was, one of my bosses came up and said something that I didn't care for, and I was so taken back by my response. It wasn't a response of anger. It was more of, I am a child of God. I will not be spoken to like that. I'm like, who said that? Who was that? Who was that?
Right, because we have to preface that. We have to add in that you grew up where?
In Chicago. So it's what you say?
Exactly.
You must want some of this. Right? So
you don't want this smoke.
No, you don't want it. You don't want it. Mind you, low end of Chicago. So
right.
I'm like,
right.
What you want to do?
Right.
But I can't be that person in the office. But I still had to go on this journey of, who am I, in the kingdom of God? That's the person I was searching for, because I want to live in my God-given purpose, not a purpose that I think I'm supposed to have or anything like that, but my God-given purpose. So me being on that journey, and then when he said that, and it was recent and I was like, I am a child of God. So I was like, okay, I just found her.
Just in time.
Just in time for this interview. No, but I mean, I was happy. I was like, oh my goodness, hi, nice to meet you. But it just showed my growth, and and how far I've come with being in the word and standing on his promises and knowing that he loves me and I am beloved by him. I am, everything in his image. So now all the things that people said I was, what they thought I was. I went to Catholic school. So women are supposed to, or girls are supposed to be seen and not heard. So I had Chicago with no voice.
Mm.
That's not really true though, because I had a voice kind of loud too. But but speaking something that made a difference, that makes a difference in somebody's life, that's different.
Yeah.
That's different. So that's when I found that I believe that I'm like, I am a child of God, and you cannot speak to me in that way. I think that's when the light came on. It's like, oh, there she is. Mm-hmm. Hey, Felecia, how are you? Mm-hmm. So, and that's it. That was at 49. But
that's the way the journey is, right? The lights come on in different ways at different times for all of us. And that's why I always ask that question, because the answers that I get have been so varied and so different. And I love that, that's, it speaks to what we as women encounter and go through. There's levels to this thing, and you don't always know who you are as you're growing up and as you're progressing. And I like to say, when I grow up, because I feel like even at this age of almost 52, I have not grown up yet. I'm like, I'm still a Toys R Us kid. You know what I mean? Like,
And I've seen it in the store. It's true. No.
Yeah. So, I'm loving it that this discovery came recently for you. I think that's awesome. And she's talking about my interview with Queen Keisha Costin. So if you haven't seen it, you need to go back and check it in the page. That's what we're talking about. How she described the queen moving on a chessboard. It was powerful. It made me go, wow.
And I was like, yes, girl, yes. Like that resonated with me. I can move about the cabin.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And you move about we don't even realize it. We move about our home that way, right? We move about our lives and our families that way. We do protect our kings.
Our families that way.
Absolutely are.
Our men that way. So I'm like, I see the chessboard. Like I can see that chessboard. It's so good. Thank you, Keisha.
Absolutely. Thank you, Keisha. So that's a real good segue to where we're going, right? Because now you are now preparing to be the queen, not only of your husband and children, your household, but you have now stepped into the role of being the queen mother that your mother has been, right, all of these years. Because when was mommy diagnosed with dementia?
She was actually diagnosed 2 years ago.
Okay.
She had, and heart surgery, quadruple bypass.
Yeah.
So after that, we saw the decline.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you notice symptoms before the diagnosis?
Yeah, we noticed symptoms, but when they come out of surgery, when they're in a process of healing and they're on different medications, you're looking like, okay, so, maybe it's the medication. So I would tell the doctor, when is she going to be off this medication? Because her memory's not good. She's doing things that's out of character. So just different things. But we got the diagnosis just 2 years ago. And I think she had quadruple bypasses. I think it's been about 3 years. So we had a whole year before we could put a name to it.
Right. I remember when mommy went in for, and y'all got to understand that her mother is my other mother and vice versa. So I remember when she went in for when she had the heart surgery and stuff like that, and we were concerned we might not have her here with us still. So to be here 3 years later is still a blessing, right? In the midst of all the challenges, it's still a blessing. She's still here with us. What type of dementia does she have? Because I know there's different types.
Right. She has vascular dementia. It's from having multiple strokes. So we didn't realize that she had strokes. We don't know if it happened during surgery or if it happened shortly after. But there was a period where they tried to get her off the respirator and had to put it back on. So it could have been in the middle. That we don't know.
Right.
But there is brain damage.
Okay. So is there something that you want to share with us about in the midst of this? What's one of the joyful things that you can share?
One of the joyful things is that my mom is in the house with us. Well, I guess that could be a joyful thing. Depends on who you ask in the house. But for me, it's I love seeing, she's here with her grandchildren. Right now, it's 4 generations in the household. So it's great to have her here. Also challenging.
What kind of challenges are you dealing with?
Well, I mean, small challenges, big challenges. She cannot be left alone. So now we have to make sure that our schedules are synced where she's never here by herself. And now we're in the middle of COVID-19 where my mother likes to leave, the house and go to CVS and do different things. So now she goes to CVS and we're in the middle of COVID-19. She has no gloves on, no mask, no nothing. She's like, hey, I came to get a bottle of fingernail polish. Girl, this is COVID-19. You cannot be out looking for fingernail polish. So that's a challenge. And I just realized that I cannot protect her. Like um, she goes out during the day, and hopefully she's not going out during the night. I'm not up, but she goes out during the day and she will sneak out the back door, and go down the street. We think she's out sitting on the bench, getting some fresh air, and she's at CVS shopping.
Wow.
Until they call like, hey, your mom is up here. Yes, CVS has our phone number.
Thank God.
Your mother's here. Like, okay.
She's a regular at the local CVS. Well, that's good. They know her. They know who to call.
Yes.
So I know you're an only child.
Yes.
What kind of challenges does that present for you?
To be totally honest, there is no break. I don't get a break. I don't get to send her to my sister's house or my brother's house. This is it. This is it. So there is pros and cons to that. I don't have to discuss, with anyone about her, so what we're going to do with mommy. I don't have to do that. But on the flip side of that, I would love that input. I would love to be able to sit down. It's like, oh, what are we going to do about mom? But, it is what it is. But so I walked through it with my girls, with my husband, and they've been great. They're not her responsibility. They're mine. I mean, she's my responsibility. So it is challenging to have that weight on me and to be able to balance everything else.
So as things progress in her care, are you considering finding a facility, or what does that look like?
So right now we're in the middle of COVID-19. So right now they have a lot of restrictions with daycares and assisted livings. But I am moving towards doing the assisted living because COVID-19 has showed me I cannot protect her because, we don't have eyes on her all day. And the fact that she can slide out the back door, that was really scary for me. I'm all the way at work. I work maybe 22 miles from the house. Thank goodness I'm able to work at home right now, but that was scary to know that in the middle of this crisis where the elderly are more susceptible to this disease, that she's out, and she has pulmonary disease. So like trying to tell her, hey, if you get this, you may not make it. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like, you can't explain that. And I explain it over and over and over and over again. So sometimes I kind of sit and just be by myself for a second.
Yeah.
I've learned patience.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there are still those moments in her mind where she's mommy.
Oh yeah.
So why are you talking crazy to me, right?
Before we start airing, what did she do? She hit me like this one here. Like, really, mommy? I'm about to do an interview. So yeah, she is fully still, I am the queen of this. And to have to tell her, but I know best. And I do it in a very soft tone because you don't ever want to shake them where they think they want to still be in control.
Sure.
But but unfortunately she doesn't know what's best for her, for some situations. So it's just one moment at a time, trying to, get her to understand, hey, no, you can't do this, can't do that. What you mean I can't do? I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I had the wrong tone.
Yeah, because I mean, truth of the matter is, right, she's a Black mama.
Like mama.
Dementia or no, you could get it no matter how old.
Hey, when we go to the doctor's office, she told the doctor, I will kick your blank. I was like, oh. He was like, is she like that all the time? I was like, she is. Hey, I'm gonna prescribe a medication for that. I'm like, no, she's good, but
Yeah.
she's good. But she's still feisty. She's still a feisty self. She's still like, I'm running this. I don't know what y'all doing in here, but I'm running this.
And I know you and I, because we've talked about this and we've walked through some of this together. But as Black women, Sissy, we always show up strong and powerful. And, when people, no matter what's happening, we tell anybody who asks, oh, I'm good. But,
Right.
but gloves off and truth be told, what's the toll that this part of the journey with your mom has taken on you?
She's always been so strong. She's a single mom. She was a single mom. And I went to Catholic school all my life. And she's provided. I can't see how she did it, grace of God. But she has went over and beyond of what she had to do to raise me. And being there by herself, she had to have a level of strength to pull that off. Like being a single mother anyway in America is not easy, but she wanted the best for me and she provided that. It was days when I have, she'll go in and she'll take a bath and I'll hear her crying, but she come out like, hey, this is what we're doing for dinner or whatever. And she just kept it moving. Now, and not until now that I have my own children and my own dilemmas and trials that I understand that, you get in the shower and you cry it out and you come out and you're like, okay, let me lace my warrior boots up and let's go get it, and to watch that light go out in her eyes, that she is not the person I can depend on, that's a hard pill to swallow, Sissy. And I try to, and I don't have anybody to share that with. But of course you. But to watch her not be able to move across the chessboard quite the way she used to, it's just not, it's not easy to digest. And recently I came home, and once I realized that, okay, I can't keep her safe, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and put her in assisted living. And once I realized that, it's like a part of me started to mourn my mom, even though she was here. It's like I started to mourn, and I pulled out old pictures and looked over the different generations, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, and saw this strength in their eyes. And just to look at her and not see that anymore, it just, and I just, God, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But joy comes in the morning. So I, went to sleep with that on my mind, and I celebrated the strength that I have, that she's given me, that she's passed down to me, that I have passed down to my children. I celebrated that, and she's still here. So I'm going to love her right where she is. I am going to celebrate her every chance I get. And I'm going to be okay with putting her in assisted living, because that's the safest place for her. I cannot and I will not be selfish in thinking that I can keep her safe or this is the best place for her. Sometimes we leave the house and all of us are moving and doing our thing, living our lives. And sometimes, we might stick our head in the bedroom like, hey, grandma, hey, mom, how are you? But she doesn't have anybody to dialogue with. If she's in assisted living, she has a reason to get up to see, Miss May down the hallway that she's befriended, and I want that for her. She's a talker. She loves to talk. So to see her just have friends and just have fun, not to mention that if she gets to talking and they don't know what she's talking about, well, it doesn't make a difference.
Because tomorrow will be a new day.
Tomorrow will be a new day, So it's just, it's that challenge of going from being a child to being the parent. That shift is not easy on either side. So that challenge I'm still walking through that. I'm still at times, I'm getting ready to turn 50. I'm not looking, but I'm getting ready to turn 50. And one of the things, we were sitting on the couch looking at TV, and I turned to her and I wanted to ask her, Mom, how did you feel when you turned 50? It's a milestone. And I asked, and she started talking about something else. She heard me, but she didn't hear me. So that was really challenging to know that I'm an only child and I don't have, someone to say, hey, this is a milestone. Girl, how did you feel when you turned 50? And I can ask my friends, I can ask, other relatives, but it's nothing like your mama.
Yeah.
And the advice from your mom, Mom, I'm feeling like, feeling a little challenged.
Yeah.
50. How did you feel? I can't answer those questions. And it's heartbreaking. But, we just kept watching TV, cry a little bit. And that particular night, because God uses everything, that particular night, we were watching TV and I asked her that question. So that kind of opened up a little conversation that we can have. And I asked her, Mom, have you accepted Jesus into your heart? And she kind of looked at me blank, like, one, who is Jesus? Because let's keep it 100. Like, she knows him. She went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic school. We know Jesus, but she doesn't have a relationship with them. And at this point, Jesus is going to meet her exactly where she is. So, and she is like, yeah, I think I have. And I was like, well, Mommy, just in case you haven't. And I started, Mommy, do you, take Jesus to be your Lord and Savior? And we walked through that and she repeated after me. So even if we can't have that conversation of, Mom, do you know for sure that you did this? Because I walked her through it. I know she did. And they gave me peace. They gave me some type of peace where I'm like, okay. But it's hard.
Okay. I didn't see that coming. You're not going to have me up here ugly crying on my own show. You're not going to do it. I'm not doing this with you.
Oh,
wow. That answered like 3 or 4 of my questions.
I'm sorry.
Because I was going to ask you I was going to ask you what the hardest part of this situation is, but you walked us through that so eloquently, Sissy. And what do you think your biggest lesson has been?
My My biggest lesson in this has been learning patience. And I am a very patient person. But this is another level type of patience. And what I learned, and my vice president of the company that I work for, she said, understand that your mom had to deal with you when you couldn't walk, you couldn't talk, you couldn't eat. You made mistakes, you done things wrong, and she never left your side. She never wavered. Her love never wavered from you. So
That's
I thought
deep.
about that. Like I took that in. And so with her not, saying, Mom, the milk goes in the refrigerator, not the freezer.
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
even that, like, to have like, okay, but how many times as a child did I put something in the wrong place?
Yeah.
You
But her
know,
love
so
was there to support you and
her
guide you through it.
can say, baby, make sure you put this here. Don't put it there. So so with that always in the back of my mind, what Martha told me, I keep that. And like, okay, on those days that I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling this. But how did she care for you, Felecia? Okay. Mom, the milk goes in the refrigerator. She's like, oh, okay. It's okay.
It'll be okay the next time you have to say it.
Yeah.
That's really a great point. I think we can all take, because we encounter elderly people all the time. We encounter, my mom lives with me, and we're blessed. She's healthy, and but there are those times when we're having a rough day, or something happens, and you want to go, right. We revert to the teenager, Mom, and to remember that absolutely this lady walked you through not being able to walk, not being able to talk. You didn't go to the bathroom by yourself, and she took care of you.
She changed every pamper.
And made sure that there was food in your belly and a roof over your head, and loved you all through it.
Yes.
So that is such, because I think honestly, right, we get more frustrated with the situation,
Yeah.
than with the person. But
Yeah.
because we're in this dance with this person, this mom, this parent of ours, right? Because there's a lot of folks taking care of their dads too, so to keep that in mind, to say, hey, you know what? Before I could even form a word, she loved me. She took care of me. They watched out for me and protected me. That's really important. I love the way you put that. So as other people are walking through this process, what advice would you offer them in caring for their parents, their kings and queens, as they're preparing now to do the same thing and take over the throne?
Show yourself some grace. It's not an easy process. And you'll even make mistakes. But you have to understand that this is not something that you saw coming. It's not something that everybody will understand. So you have to show yourself some grace, and you have to move through it, because it's going to happen. It's natural order for us to bury our parents. So with that said, I think knowing that it's natural order, it's a little easier, but it's so heart-wrenching to watch someone decline. It's like, oh my goodness, this is not the same person. But I would say, get to know the person that they are right there. Love them right where they are. And celebrate, and try not to say, if you say that, ask me one more time. Just repeat it. For fun, if you want to give a different answer, it's okay. But that's your new norm. And be okay with it. And when the time comes that if you have to put them in a nursing home or assisted living, it's okay. One thing I will add is we need, especially as Black people, need to have a conversation with our children. What's my expectation when I'm older? You know, if this happened, make sure, like, I have this money here for this reason. For my children, I should back up. My mom took care of her mother, and she expects for me to do the same. That's a hard pill to swallow, because I have instructed my children, hey, when I get to that point, put me and dad somewhere where we're happy. We will have enough money where we can be somewhere together, and you live your life. I want you to live your life. Come visit me, bring my grandbabies, my great grandbabies, but I want you to live your life. I gave you life to live, not to feel like you're stuck with me or anything like that. I don't want them to feel that way. And I don't feel that way about my mom, but it is some days that I say, I don't think this is fair. And if I'm truly honest, I think I was angry with her on some level. I was angry with her. Like, this was, and I guess because of the type of person I am, like, this is situated for me already. I'm 50 and I'm like, look, I want this, this, and this, and this. Make sure dad has an ugly nurse, The whole nine, like, we've sat down and had that conversation. You have to have the conversation with your children. And I think, I was angry with her. Like, what's your expectation, Mom? Like, I'm in the dark about that. So,
well, and that too is because you're a planner.
Yes.
You do details. Fee is the one, she's my sister that I go to when I need a spreadsheet made, because I want nothing to do with that at all. Right. My whole mind goes numb when I look at a bunch of figures on a spreadsheet. And Fee goes, oh, yeah, well, see, Sissy, what you do is you put this one here. And I'm like, yeah, you do that part. Cool. Right. So there was no plan in your mind for this.
Right.
And it made you angry, and that's totally understandable. And I think the fact that you are being so honest and candid about that, because I think a lot of times you're right. As Black people, we don't have the conversation of what happens to me as I age. We don't discuss those things. We don't talk about what will happen in the next stage of life. And in a lot of ways, it's unfair because things come up and our children are left and not sure what to do. And it was funny because, again, you keep answering my questions before I get to ask them. But I love what you said about, you felt you were angry on that level. So how did you get to moving past that anger? Because obviously now you're in a space where you know, like you said, you're celebrating all the wins. You know what I mean? If you come home from work and she knows who you are, yay, you know what I mean? Even me today before we got on, she popped on the camera, and it's funny because she always seems to know who I am, which I think is so great. But every now and then I'm like, "Ooh, am I prepared for the day when she don't know me?" No, I don't think so, right? So, how did you move from that? How did you move from the anger part of it, right? Because a lot of times when we are in a situation where we have to do in spite of how we feel, because that's really what you're in, the anger turns to bitterness, and the bitterness it just gets bigger. How did you take that anger and turn it around to say, you know what, she's here with me, I'm going to celebrate every moment that I have and not worry about the rest
of it? Just take it day by day and know that she's doing the best she can do. She did the best she can do as a parent. And you can only pass down the things that you know. So that's not something that her mom talked to her about, and my grandmother's mother didn't talk to her about. So I can't be mad that she didn't know. And not to mention that that's just my own perspective. She's going to have a different perspective. She's a different person. So her perspective is, why would I have to plan that? Because to me, she is who she is. So we just have different perspectives. Because I love her and I love the Lord, I'm going to honor her. I'm going to love her right where she is. Every time I turned a new age, at teenage years, she loved me, and I wasn't the easiest. Just
not you, sissy.
Hey. So she, so I just love her where she is, and it's day by day. I'm not gonna lie and say that anger doesn't rise some days. Like, are you serious right now? Like, but it subsided as she gets worse. It subsided because this is where she is right now. This is reality. This is my norm. You can either be upset about it and live in what she used to be, or just be okay where she is right now and love her exactly where she is right now.
That's beautiful. And truthfully, isn't that what we should do with each other anyway? Just love each other right where we are. That's a big aha, sissy. So what 3 things do you do daily to kind of maintain the balance in your life? Because like you said, you don't get a break often. You are working full time, you're running your business, your wife, mom, grandmom, and you're caring for your mom. How do you maintain that balance?
I don't do a very good job at it.
Well, that's an honest answer.
100. But when I do, I truly believe that God gives me strength. And when I put him at the head, then everything else that's below that is easy because his burden is light. So I put all my cares on him. So it's mornings I'm tired because she's walked the floor. She didn't feel good. So I'm like, all right, that's where we are today. No problem, no pressure. But I have to get up and go to work, and she sleep. But it's like, it's okay. Because how many times did she wake up in the middle of the night to care for me?
Yeah, I hear that recurring moment, and I think to myself, isn't that what we did when we became moms, right? No matter how many times that baby cried in the night, you got up, you did what you had to do. I remember when my son Chris was first born, I remember literally that boy, I would walk the floors with him all night long. Finally, about 5 a.m., I'd lay down, lay him on my chest, and he'd be talking. I'd get 2 hours, the alarm would go off, I'd get up and start the day and go to work, and we'd do it again. And I think, we forget that although our parents, as they are aging, are adults,
yeah,
some of them, because of health challenges and things and medications, and they are really kind of reverting back to the other way, and they're becoming like kids again in a lot of ways. But like you said, they still have that headstrong, I'm the mama. Well,
right.
you're not really, but I get it. So, so how does this dynamic work in the house with the rest of the family? Like, how is that effect in the house?
I think it is a challenge. Is a challenge, Sissy, because she's not Paul's mom, and although he loves her and he cares for her when she's here, together, when they're together and everything, he loves her, but I believe that it's challenging for him. And I commend him. I'm so happy I married the man that I did, and he's my rock. But it's challenging and it's taxing on our marriage, and so for me to say that, oh, everything is good, everything is good, we're good. We have moments where he's angry about something, I'm angry about something, and we have to talk it out, but we respect each other. We respect each other's opinion. So with my kids, they're girls, so they'll do for their grandmother, but it's challenging for them. They have lives.
Sure.
They want to go to school, and I can't say, hey, can you not take that job and stay with her while I work?
Especially when you've given them the instruction that when it's your turn, they need to live their lives.
And they've told me, Mommy, that's your mom. And I get it, that's my grandma, but I need to be there for you when it's your time.
Wow.
So I'm like, I was a little taken back from that, because that's your grandmother. What are you saying?
Right.
But
right. And that's your mom. So you're going to come to her defense no matter what. I mean, we have to we got to be honest. We got to just tell it like it is. I mean, and especially in our culture, in the Black community, your mama is everything. I mean, the hardest gangbanger, you better not talk about my mama, right? So, and we put them in that position first and foremost. And it's true. We have to make that adjustment sometimes to understand that, yes, she's our responsibility, but not necessarily put that on the rest of the family. And that's got to be a challenge. That's got to be rough.
But you asked about how do I cope, like 3 things that I do. One thing, I do take out time for myself for church functions. Like, I'm like, hey, Monday is my night, and your grandmother's going to be here with you, and I'll make sure she has everything that she needs. And usually she's asleep anyway by 8 o'clock. Now, she's still able to do her, take care of herself, wash herself up and things like that. You just don't want her messing with the stove. You don't want her, doing things like that. But so they're there to support me in that, hey, and church is my support system. Those small groups are my support system. You, Sissy, are my support system. So if I'm coming in a house and I'm on the phone with you, they're like, hey, Auntie Terry, and they still taking care of her or whatever, because I need that time to have a conversation, about things that's on my mind.
Absolutely. So I got to know, when people hear your story, because we're getting ready to do this thing, what is the one thing you want them to take away from this conversation?
The one thing to take away from the conversation would be love your parents while they're here. Celebrate them while they're here, because you'll look up and they're gone. So,
really? That's what you be doing?
so all the things that you might have been upset about, like all of that is trivial. It doesn't matter. Love them because they loved you. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, Sissy, we've talked about how this leg of your mom's journey
yeah.
is affecting you every day. We know that. So what is the best way that loved ones and friends can support you as you are walking through this?
Phone call. Hey, how you doing? Because you appear strong. Because we continue to move and live our life and say, oh, I'm good. We continue to just stop me. But are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you good?
Are you good?
Are you good? It's a difference.
It's a big
So it's a big difference. And if you know somebody might be going through something like that, and even if they appear strong, they continue to push on. Just stop them. Hey, tap them on the shoulder. Are you good? Is there something I can do for you? And you might get a yes. You might be, can you just sit here while I cry? Can we just sit and eat some ice cream and watch TV? How about not saying anything? Just be here. Just sit next to me. So,
well, I can definitely say
we're going to have to do a lot of editing.
no, we're not. We just gonna be real, because this is the truth, and this is this is what I'm discovering as I'm doing these conversations, is that I have some incredible women in my life, some true, strong Wonder Women in my life. And definitely I cried more this episode than I have any of the others. But that's because the topic is near and dear to my heart. The people that I'm talking about are near and dear to my heart. But the truth of the matter is that there's other queens going through what we're going through. They're walking through it too. And your honesty and your candor and your advice, I think it speaks volumes, and it's going to give other people the permission to be okay. Because what I've heard you say today is it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to scream. It's okay. It's okay.
Enough said, sissy, enough said. So what about you? Did you hear something today in Felicia's story that resonated with you? Are you walking your mom or dad through this very thing? Maybe it's not dementia. Maybe there's something else medical going on, but you find yourself becoming the queen about to take the throne. We want to know about it. We want to connect with you. We've got a group called Release Me on Facebook. You'll be able to reach out and send Queen Felecia a message, and me too, and we'll support you however we can. We'll talk with you, laugh with you, pray with you, send you a message. Just make sure you're okay. Before I leave you today, I want to give you your prescription. there were so many ahas in this conversation, but I think the 3 things I'm going to take away and recommend for all of you going through this is to show yourself some grace. Love your parents while they're here and love them. Celebrate them right where they are. Queen Felecia, my dear sister, I thank you for coming to have this conversation with me today. And I know we'll do many more where maybe we won't cry so much, but this was beautiful, and it was honest, and it was vulnerable, and it was real. And I thank you so much for sharing this with us. I love you, and we'll see you guys next time in Queen Conversations.
My prescription, baby.